It all started at Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi airport. Soo Kai and Tan Songyun had just arrived, greeted by cheers from fans and a throng of media outlets that had been waiting since morning. But behind their professional smiles, something felt off, something they hadn't realized would turn into a nightmare in the coming hours. The dense crowds made movement chaotic. The management team tried to clear a path, maintaining distance between the artists and the public. In a situation like this, a single second is enough to create a gap. And that gap seemed to be exploited, or perhaps accidentally. A few minutes after exiting the arrivals area, Soo Kai began to realize something. His hand instinctively reached for his pocket. It was empty. At first, he thought he had simply misplaced it. But when his expression turned serious, his manager immediately knew this wasn't just a misunderstanding. Tan Songyun, on the other hand, was experiencing the same thing. She tried to remain calm, but her eyes showed a worry that was hard to hide. 2 phones were missing, 2 major artists. At almost the same time, panic began to spread among their team. The managers immediately turned around, heading back into the airport. They spoke quickly, almost shouting, trying to remember every step they had just taken. Every second felt like a ticking time bomb. Airport staff were getting involved. CCTV cameras were being checked. Security was being called. What started as a simple loss of personal belongings had now become a full-fledged search operation involving multiple parties. But what made the situation even more urgent wasn't the phone's value. It was what it contained. The information stored on the device was said to be highly sensitive. Unreleased photos, private conversations, and even material whose leak could shatter reputations. Imagine the pressure they felt. In the digital age, losing a phone isn't just losing an object. It's losing control of one's personal life. And for public figures, the risks are multiplied. For hours passed, for hours of tension, suspicion, and speculation. Their team combed every corner, from the waiting room to the restrooms to the baggage claim. Nothing was left untouched. Outside, word began to spread. Social media exploded. Hashtags about the incident skyrocketed, attracting millions of views in a short time. People wondered, how could 2 celebrities lose their phones in such a secure area? Some began to speculate further. Was this truly a simple loss? Or was someone deliberately taking advantage of the chaos? Or even something planned? The pressure mounted as the team began to realize that time was the enemy. The longer the phone was missing, the greater the chance that the data on it would be accessed by unauthorized parties. Then, a clue emerged. One of the staff found something suspicious in an unexpected location, a place where a phone should not be. When the phone was finally found, the atmosphere wasn't immediately filled with relief. Quite the opposite. The location of the discovery raised new questions far more disturbing than the mere loss. How did the phone get there? Was it really dropped? Or had someone else held it before it was mysteriously returned? Soo Kai and Tan Songyun were certainly relieved, but their expressions showed that the story wasn't completely over. Something was still unsettling, something that couldn't be explained with simple logic. Their team immediately secured the device. An inspection was conducted. No one wanted to take any chances. Even a single leaked file could be catastrophic. Meanwhile, the public continues to speculate. Theory after theory emerges, ranging from the plausible to the downright wild. And as usual, the truth becomes increasingly obscured amidst the noise of information. This incident isn't just about a lost phone. It's a reminder of how fragile privacy is in the modern world, especially for those living in the spotlight. And one thing is for sure, behind all this, there's a story that may never be fully revealed. But even after the device was returned to their hands, the tension hadn't completely subsided. That's where new concerns arose. The phone may have been found, but no one could be sure what had happened while it was missing from their reach. Soo Kai seemed quieter than usual. He checked his phone screen several times, opening and closing apps with an unreadable expression, as if he were searching for something or making sure nothing had changed. Tan Songyun was equally anxious. She was having a serious discussion with her manager, their voices low but full of pressure. The look in her eyes revealed she fully understood the risks of this situation, that what's invisible can be the greatest threat. The technical team was immediately involved. They checked the activity history, trying to detect any suspicious access. Every notification, every system log, every small change was scrutinized. There was no room for error. But herein lay the mystery. There were no obvious signs. There was no hard evidence that the phone had been hacked or opened by anyone else. And that was precisely what made the whole thing even more strange. Because if no one had touched it, how could the phone have moved in such an improbable way? The question kept swirling in the minds of everyone involved. Several team members began to exchange glances. Some ventured to speculate. Perhaps someone had taken it, then returned it for fear of being caught. Or perhaps there was another motive yet to be revealed. Meanwhile, outside their circle, the public was becoming increasingly obsessed with this story. Many sensed something was being hidden, something bigger than a simple lost at the airport incident. The next day, things seemed normal on the surface. Schedules continued, agendas were met, and smiles were once again on display in public. But beneath all that, a new vigilance loomed large that couldn't be completely hidden. Sukai now seemed more cautious. He no longer placed his phone anywhere, even in casual situations. Whenever the device was not in his hands, his eyes would reflexively search for it, as if the minor traumas still lingered. Songyun did the same. She began restricting access to her personal device, even in environments previously considered safe. Trust was becoming more valuable than ever. Their management team also conducted a major overhaul. Security procedures were tightened, travel routes were improved, and every little detail was now taken more seriously. This incident was a lesson they wouldn't forget anytime soon. And while the world may be slowly moving on, for those who experienced it firsthand, the uneasy feeling lingered. A faint shadow occasionally appeared, reminding them that amidst the crowd and the spotlight, there was always the possibility that something unexpected was watching. Narratives began to spin wildly. Some believed this was a coincidence exaggerated by the media. Others were convinced that certain parties had gained access to something that should never have been seen. Amid all the speculation, one thing became increasingly clear. This incident had left its mark. Not just on social media or in the news, but also in the way these two celebrities viewed their personal security. That night, after it was all over, the atmosphere felt different. There was no longer the euphoria of the arrival, no more cameras. There was only silence and a lingering tension that had not yet fully dissipated. And perhaps, behind the now-locked screen, lies one question that will never truly be answered. Was the phone really just lost, or had it fallen into the wrong hands?